Alex Mustakas is the artistic director of Drayton Entertainment and joins us for a conversation. Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
It's always a pleasure, sir, and I don't mean to put that little pain in the heart, but this must be almost killing you at this point, Alex.
Well, you know, Mike, you know the Greek mythology about Sisyphus, you know, the god Zeus bans him to Hades, right, where his only job is to push a boulder up a hill, and when he gets to the top of the hill, the boulder rolls down again for eternity. In modern terms, it's called Groundhog Day, so here we are again, unfortunately. So it has been a struggle, obviously, but we're trying to stay positive. And we're doing the best we can. We had a couple of offerings at around the Christmas time, which we got through, believe it or not. And I am planning for the future as well. But it's just it has been tough, obviously, for arts and culture, the hospitality sector, and tourism as well, which we're all kind of partners of.
The Greek mythology analogy is so well placed. In this particular instance, we can picture that boulder going up the hill and then coming all the way back down again. But you've innovated like you always have been with Drayton Entertainment, frankly, even when we were in normal times. But you're finding some room. You're carving out a space in the online world.
Well, we're trying, yeah. It's the whole point is to stay connected with our stakeholders, and that's our audience and our sponsors and our partners and so on. So last year we put together this series called We'll Meet Again. It was distributed every Sunday night online. It was very much like the old Ed Sullivan variety series, right, where families would come together and sit by the TV on a Sunday night to watch this, and it was very successful, and it kept us connected. So you'd think I would have predicted another lockdown right now. So back in November, we actually filmed another one, kind of a follow-up to We'll Meet Again, and it's called Backstage Pass. And it's a series that kind of pulls back the curtain on what it's like to work in live theater, how this pandemic has affected our artists, how it's affected our audiences, and what we're missing as a society when it comes to arts activity. So I get a chance to interview about 40 incredible artists, everyone from some beloved veteran Canadian actors and leading stars to up-and-coming young performers as well. And I posed those questions, like, what have you missed, and what has society missed, and so on. And there were some really poignant interviews that we did. But along the way, we had some, a lot of funny things as well. There a lot of these performers, and a lot of people don't know this, but many of the performers that perform in Drayton or in St. Jacobs or here in Cambridge are actually, one day they're in the village of Drayton, the next day they're on Broadway. The caliber of the artist is second to none, right? So we get a lot of Broadway stories, we get a lot of behind-the-scenes stories, and so on. So it's just a great way to stay connected. And I found there was a common theme, actually. Our audiences have told us now for 2 years they miss the theater, they miss the actors. And the interesting thing was I heard the same thing from the actors, saying we miss the audience because they are part of theater, So it was really refreshing, and I think people are really going to enjoy it.
Interesting point you make on missing the audience, because that's what I was wondering about. And I must also add, I think this Backstage Pass idea is tremendous, because I know there's an appetite for, understanding what goes on in those wings and what goes on behind that curtain when we're sitting in that audience. But
exactly, yeah.
I wonder, because of that piece, Alex, how it feels putting together something like this when a theater veteran such as yourself and those that you're interviewing are, of course, accustomed to having that audience with them every time they perform. This clearly is far different.
Absolutely, and first of all, it was very emotional in many cases. You talk to a musician or an actor that says, "This is all I've done all my life," right? And I've lost it over the last 2 years. I don't know when we're going to return to the stage. It was a little heart wrenching, but at the same time, they're artists and they're hopeful, and we know, people have been saying that theaters over the last 2,000 years, theater's been dying, and it's going to continue, But it was very interesting to sit in the auditorium with just us talking and being filmed with an empty an empty chamber, right? Because it is about a communal experience. At the end of the day, we find a great theater, and it serves all purposes as well, right? But we cry as one, we emote as one, we laugh as one. Our heartbeats sometimes sync as one as well, and that's something we've all lost.
On Backstage Pass, what are the nuts and bolts of this? I know it starts on January the 30th. How do we access it? For how long will it run?
Yeah, it's 10 weeks. There's 10 hour-long episodes. They'll be released every Sunday night, but patrons will have a week, actually, to view it, and they can view it as many times as they want. And it's per household, so hopefully we can gather back in our homes with more than 5 people down the road, and basically people come together and watch it. You can go onto our website at DraytonEntertainment.com and book the series, but I think people are really going to be enthralled with it.
I know that I can't wait for it to start. I know I will be one of those enthralled with it. I've always loved the work that I call it, and I don't think it's fair anymore, Alex, but I'm stuck with it. The little theater company that could. That's how I view Drayton Entertainment,
Well, you know what? It's one of those great Canadian theater stories, right? What started as a relatively community-based volunteer arts organization in this little village of Drayton back in 1991 has become one of the great success stories of Canadian theater, with 7 venues around the province, and we reach over 250,000 patrons. Not to mention just the cultural impact, but the economic impact as well. But we're all in the same boat as far as our partners in the arts. From our museums and our symphony. We will get back at it, and we're trying to stay positive and stay connected, because some people were just tending to go down that rabbit hole of the deepest, darkest depths of despair, right? And we just need to, as a society, start being positive again and respectful and kind and take care of one another, and we'll be back together soon.
Yeah, great point. I can't wait to be back together, see you in person, and share that theater experience with you. But Backstage Pass will do the trick for now, I'm sure. Alex, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Mike.